Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel for another video today. I have a Zepbound shortage, FDA approval, whatever, update for you guys today that we are going to discuss ahead of the decision that is set to come on December 19th from the FDA on the lawsuit and all of that going on with the Outsourcing Facilities Association. So before we delve into that, because there's a lot that has gone on over the past couple of weeks that I think could really tell or help to paint a picture of what may happen on December 19th. But before we delve into that, I do want to say that the winner of the giveaway, the person that won the $100 giveaway, has actually not contacted me back on Instagram yet. So if that person does not buy, we'll just give her until Friday, then I'm going to pick a new winner. The second place person, Jen, has actually already been paid and contacted me. You guys probably see her in the comments all the time. Her name is like Jen Foe. She was the winner of the $50 prize and she has already contacted me back and received that and all of that. But yeah, I wanted to say that. So if you were watching this and you haven't checked your Instagram, go ahead and go check it to make sure that you were not the winner of the $100 prize or gift money, whatever. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into it because like I said, I have a lot of different things to share with you that have gone on and happened. If you don't know the gist of what's going on, essentially the FDA took tirzepatide off the shortage list in early October. The outsourcing OFA, my brain again, decided to file a lawsuit claiming that that was unlawful and dishonest and a very quick judgment to remove it from the shortage list. And pretty much since then, the FDA has been going back and forth with the court trying to either verify that tirzepatide should be kept off the shortage list or decide whether or not they're going to go back on it and add it back onto it. They asked for another extension on the 22nd of November that they are set to update on the 19th of December, which is next Thursday, December 19th. So with that being said, like I said, over the past couple of weeks, a few things have happened that have sort of really spoken to the whole Zepbound shortage issue. The first thing was a new study was released that compared the use of Wegovy and Zepbound over a 72-week period. And overwhelmingly, Zepbound users lost more weight and lost weight more quickly than Wegovy users did within that 72-week time frame. So what that does in terms of the shortage is just kind of get Zepbound back on the forefront of people's mind. That article was popping up here and there all over the internet, and so therefore people are reading it saying, oh, Zepbound might be the best one. Maybe I should switch to that if I was on Wegovy. Maybe I should go talk to my doctor about Zepbound if I've never been on anything. And so that sort of ignites a bit of a fire in Zepbound and in Eli Lilly, kind of puts more pressure on them to be able to keep up with demand. So that was the first thing that happened. And that's sort of not, I mean, that's probably the least effective one, but I did want to mention it because I do think that as these studies come out and more people talk and word of mouth and people reading articles or whatever, it just drives more attention overall to Zepbound, which means more prescriptions will be written, which means they have to keep up with the higher demand. So I did want to mention that one. The next thing that happens, and I think that this is a really good tell on how Lilly is feeling about the whole compound saga, is that they actually just recently invested $3 billion, that is a lot of money, into plant expansion in their plant in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So they invested $3 billion to ramp up production and to further production within that plant. And they said that this is the largest US plant expansion other than in their home state of Indiana. So they are really making efforts to be able to keep up with supply versus demand. But I also think it's really telling that they are doing so because that means that they are acknowledging that they are not able to currently keep up with the expansion of Zepbound and how quickly it has grown. And I don't think that's necessarily their fault. I've said this the whole time. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with Eli Lilly and them wanting to be the ones to profit off their medicine. I think that they profit largely off of it when they maybe could not charge as much to the American people, but I don't think that they're doing anything wrong. I mean, they did make this discovery. They did put in all of the billions of dollars of research and development into it. And so I think they should get the profits, a lot of the profits. But I think that it shows that amid this crisis with compounders and compounders stealing their business, they are really trying to squash the problem and come up with different ways to increase production. So that is a good tell, I think. If you're going to invest $3 billion, then you know that your drug is going to continue to grow. Your drug and other drugs that you are trying to develop are going to continue to grow, and that at the current rate of production and the current amount of plants that you have available for production does not meet that expectation. So I think that that's them saying, we can't, but we're trying to, if you know what I mean. So in 2024 alone, they have invested $10 billion into production capacity. And that comes as compounders continue to press this issue on whether or not Eli Lilly is able to keep up with it. So kind of to recap that, I think that shows that Eli Lilly is acknowledging that they're not able to currently keep up with production. The next thing that I think is really cool and that kind of tells a lot is what GoodRx actually came out with. Now I'm going to link this article down below, as well as the article talking about how Lilly invested all of the money. But GoodRx essentially came out with some statistical data based on people that use GoodRx, which is a good number of people based on people that are essentially like registered with them, because then it tracks your activity prescription wise after you register with them with all of your information. So essentially they released data suggesting that Zepbound continues to increase in prescription numbers, even though the high cost and even though the low insurance coverage rates, people are still sourcing prescriptions for Zepbound. So in 2024, it kind of compared Wegovy and Zepbound, but in 2024, Wegovy prescriptions increased by 100%, which is a lot, doubled, and Zepbound increased by 300% compared to this time last year. 300% increase in prescriptions being written. And one thing that I think is really important to note is in the end of 2023, Zepbound had just gotten approved for weight loss, and prescriptions were coming in for it left and freaking right. Like everybody was going out and trying to find the new Eli Lilly approved medicine for weight loss. So Zepbound was very much so in demand, very highly at that time. And so now a year later, it's only increased 300%. That is absolutely insane. So despite this huge increase in prescriptions being written for Zepbound, only 9% of users of Zepbound, 9%, look at how small the number that is, have unrestricted coverage for Zepbound with their commercial insurance. Now that means unrestricted means that they don't have to get a prior auth, or they don't have to jump through any other hoops to get it approved. 9% for Zepbound and only 14% for Wegovy. That, in my mind, is one of the bigger issues, is that there's no coverage for it. But I also think that circles all back to the amount that it costs, the amount that insurance companies are having to pay for it, the amount that Eli Lilly reimburses these insurance companies for it, because I've touched on this before, but there's several pharmacies, especially little mom and pop pharmacies, that are reimbursed less than it costs them to purchase the Zepbound. So a lot of them just aren't even filling it anymore. So there's this sort of disarray in unlevelness in the cost and what the reimbursement is. And so a lot of pharmacies are actually losing money on it. And then you have all these insurance companies that, again, aren't being reimbursed as much as it costs them to fill it for a customer or for an insured individual. And so a lot of them are dropping coverage for it. So 9% have unrestricted coverage. And then of the total amount of people that have coverage for Zepbound, 60% of them, or 60% of people on GoodRx that are covered for Zepbound have hard restrictions. So that means you have to get a prior auth, you have to jump through a bunch of hoops, your doctors fill out a bunch of paperwork, and they still may deny you, is essentially what that means. So essentially what this is telling us is that it's not easy for people who want to be on Zepbound to access Zepbound. 9% of people having complete access to it is way too low a number for what this medication can do for us overall. And I think that that is the biggest issue, is accessibility. And I think that that is what the FDA, the FDA has even come out and said that the accessibility issue is what is kind of holding them back, because yes, Zepbound may be able to be filled, but financially, through insurance, accessibility wise, people aren't able to access it as they should be able to for what this drug can do for us. And I think that that is one of the bigger issues. So Tori Marsh, who is the director of GoodRx, actually made a statement on this, and she said, it's just a pretty big, no, wait, sorry, let me quote her directly. It's just a pretty astronomical increase in sales. And because of that, a lot of eyes are on them surrounding their affordability and accessibility. So them meaning Eli Lilly. So the question, I think at this point, from information that we can gather, isn't necessarily, are you able to call your pharmacy and fill it? Are you able to call your pharmacy and within a reasonable amount of time get it filled? I think the bigger question right now, and how the FDA is being challenged on their decision, is accessibility in terms of insurance coverage, affordability for the average American person, for the average American. And the FDA has kind of alluded to that. They also are having a lot of trouble tracking that in that sense. So if somebody is signing up for compounded tirzepatide based on not being able to get it when they call their pharmacy, or having to wait a long time for it, or are they just going straight to compound because they can't afford the name brand? And I think that it is beneficial for the American people, for the FDA to be looking at it in this light, for them to be saying, okay, maybe your pens are available, but are they available in an appropriate manner to where the average American can go and get it and easily achieve continually having access to Zepbound? I think that's a good step in the right direction for the FDA to be looking at it from an affordability standpoint. I know that there's a lot of talk right now about the new choices for the Food and Drug Administration and all of that, and how they are going to do things differently. I do actually have a lot of hope in Mackie and what he might end up doing for the FDA in terms of really benefiting the American people. I think that we're starting to see these sort of green lights coming up on, or little trinkets of information being dropped based on how the FDA is going to function in the coming years in regards to compounding. Now, one thing I want to touch on, and I know that, because I know this is going to be brought up, is I know, and I think all of us know, what the FDA has always done in terms of compounding pharmacies, right? If a medicine is commercially available, then it's not able to be copycatted by compounded pharmacies. Nobody is sitting here and saying that that's not true. We all know how the rules work, right? What is different about this is that this is a completely unforeseen thing. This has never happened before in the history of healthcare. The amount of people trying to get one medicine literally never happened. The amount of people trying to long-term stay on this medicine has never happened, ever. In the history of pharmaceutical things has this happened. And so I think that it is prudent to look at this in a different light. And I think that that is what's coming up with this lawsuit, with the FDA taking so long to make a decision, is that they're sort of shifting gears on, okay, this is the law and this is what always has been done, but is this what's best for this situation and for the overall benefit of the American people? Now, I also think it's important to note that money talks. Eli Lilly has a lot of money. A lot of these compounding pharmacies have a lot of money. And so I think we're going to continue to see that unfold. But if I had to give my guess right now, and don't quote me on this, but this is just my personal guess on what I have been seeing, I don't think that compounding is going anywhere anytime soon until things change in terms of long-term affordability and accessibility of the drug. We could obviously hear something different, but I think that even if the FDA came back and said next week, hey, we think we're good. We think it's good to be off the shortage list. That doesn't mean that this is the end of the lawsuit. That just means that they're going to actually take it to court and go a little bit further with it. The court sort of paused the lawsuit to give the FDA time to respond and has approved their extension in time to respond and all of that. But that doesn't mean that whatever they say on the 19th is the be all end all. That just means that they may actually take court proceedings further. And I 100% believe that the OFA and the compounding pharmacies will do so. Again, I want to reiterate, I don't think that Eli Lilly is wrong to want to make the profits. I don't think that they are. I just think that that everybody, I've said before that the compounders and Eli Lilly need to be locked in a room and like fight it out until they come to an agreement that is best for everybody, because I think that's the thing. This is so unprecedented that everybody needs to come to the table with a more logical viewpoint of, we know what the laws are, but this is different. This is not what anything has ever been before. And maybe we need to approach it a little bit differently. Maybe we need to lower costs a little bit. Maybe Eli Lilly needs to take some time to really ramp up production in combination with lowering costs slightly so that the American people can actually access it. Because if you offered me, I love Compound. You guys all know. I'm with Orderly, link down below always, but if you offered me Zepbound at an affordable, consistent price that I was able to consistently have access to every month, there's nobody sitting here saying that they probably wouldn't go back to it, right? So I think that is important to note. But there's just so much data coming out that suggests that compounding just isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Again, looking forward to what they have to say on the 19th, but I want everybody to remember that that is not the end. If they say no, we're just the lawsuit's gonna be taken further. So let me know what your thoughts are down below on this. I know, life happened yesterday and Chris was not able to sit down with me. We had swim practice and basketball practice and all of the things. Actually, we did not have basketball because my kid has pneumonia, but we did have to go shoot free throws for a free throw-a-thon that he was in. Anyway, that's another story. But we didn't have time to do that. So hopefully within the next day or two, I will have time. I have been looking further and further into Dr. Jones and sort of what he stands for. And I think that he has some really good points. Don't get me wrong. I think that he does. I think that the deliverance of those points sometimes is a little bit off-putting for me. A lot of vulgarity and words used within his, I don't know. Anyway, still diving into that. I watched a couple of his videos last night. I was going into some more interviews that he's been doing. And I do agree with some of his points. And then I don't agree with several of them as well. So we'll dive into that. Still working on that one. Just wanted to update. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below. And I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow with an interview with Chris. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Bye.